Dawn,
Christmas card.
now what's the,
Oh, always hold on to your pens. Oh, you don't want to sit next to you, Bill. That's like that thing. Like, it's all right. I know we did it. And that's a good looking one for it. Yes. I know I seen the water run down out of the driveway, remember? At the end, there was a little spout. Oh, yeah. So. All the water coming down that hill. I think that, holy cow, you see much. That little hole in front of me in my driveway. It goes right to the top of the drain. That's good.
All right, everyone ready to go?
Not stuck in my driveway.
All right, being 7 o'clock, I'd like to open the, thank you, planning board meeting for January 4th, 2023. First up, we have a public hearing for Podcast LLC, 90-day special permit probation, discuss any issues with the doggy daycare located at 187 Little Mugget Road. And, all right, in accordance with sections 200-3.2, 200-7.1D, and 200-7.2 of the Charlton zoning bylaw, the Charlton planning board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, January 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. by Zoom meeting. Meeting ID number 211-293-2257, and in-person meeting at 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass. 507, on the request of Anthony Aldonis, 764 Stafford Street, Rochdale, Mass. 01542, for a public hearing on the approved special permit application for a doggy daycare at the existing home. Condition 3 of the special permit required that was approved state the applicant would have a public hearing after 90 days to determine if the restriction of 15 dogs per day should be increased, decreased, or stay the same based upon noise complaints from abutters and or the animal control officer. No new structures are proposed. The property is residential and also was previously used to train show dogs. The property contains approximately 2.5 acres in the agricultural district, and dog kennel can be permitted with an approved special permit. The property is located at 87 Little Nugget Road. Property ID is assessed 18 block A lot 22 in the zone agricultural. This meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted in person and via remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or required to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen or watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: video participation, https://zoom.us/zoom.211-293-2257, meeting ID 211-293-2257.
If you snapped at me 3 times in the morning before we even left.
46-558-8656.
thank you.
Copies of the site plan application are available for inspection at the planning board office in the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website on the planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right, the applicant is here. How you doing?
How are you?
Very good. All right, would you like to give us an update on how the first 90 days has gone?
Sure, I think it's actually been 120 now.
Okay.
At this point, because it was.
Yeah,
it
because
was
the meeting.
an issue.
All right.
But I feel like things have gone very well for the first 90 days. I actually pretty much continued to maintain the business myself. Just because I had an applicant who was very interested, but she would have had to have left her job in order to start working for me. So it kind of put me in an ethical conundrum because I didn't want to offer her a job and then not be able to follow through with it if the board didn't go through. But once December came around, you know, it was a do or die thing for us. So I ended up just pulling the trigger and saying, hey, we're gonna hire her on. So she's been working for us. She's been an excellent addition. She's very knowledgeable. She came from a kennel in Webster. She's been a great asset to us. And then, you know, just as far as the clientele that we've had, we've gotten two clients from the immediate area, kind of in that area that we're just searching for dog services. And they utilized us, and then we gave another one from Leicester, which is obviously just right down the street. So we've been, I think, right now sitting about 13 dogs, not on the daily. I would say it goes between 8 and 12. Just kind of maintaining that number that you guys had said. Sometimes it's as little as 3, sometimes, like I said, it's as much as 12, it just really depends on the holiday season and people being away, but.
Thank you for the update. Are there any questions from the board?
Have any changes been made? Like, have you put lights on the driveway or new fencing or anything, or lights in the back, or any other changes around the property to adjust for anything?
No, there wasn't really any need. I mean, because I have a technological ability that my grandparents didn't have, I automated a lot of things. But other than that, I just upgrade. I mean, when you say upgraded lighting, I put in brighter lights
Yeah,
outside,
yeah.
but that was just because they were old incandescent, inefficient lights, and energy costs may have gone up recently. So
Yeah,
I decided
yeah,
that the LEDs are probably the way to go. But as far as everything else, it's all been the same stuff that was on the property.
Yeah, you didn't have to fix fences, move fences or anything.
I haven't moved any fences. We do have one fence that will need repair. There was a dog that decided she didn't want to be inside anymore, and but I have just basically put a gate and bar across it right now. So I'm just not, it's the gate area, so I just replaced the gate, but I haven't upgraded anything.
Right, yeah, good. Okay.
All right, also, we have a email here from the animal control officer dated Tuesday, January 3rd. Hi, Randy, Animal Control has not received any complaints regarding 87 Little Mugget podcast doggy daycare.
She also was here in the office. I don't know if she wants to speak on it. I guess you've done a recent inspection of the property.
Yeah,
She's
yeah, Emily, if you have any comment, would like to speak on that inspection, feel free.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
So yeah, I just wanted to add that Anthony has been very cooperative and respectful through this whole process. He's called me every once in a while to make sure that there's been no complaints, and if there was, that he would fix them. Just ask me any questions and made sure that he was up to date with everything. I did go to his house Monday to do a kennel inspection, which is routinely done every year, and his property was very clean. There was no, smell of dog feces. He had about 9 dogs there at the time, and it didn't seem like it was an overabundance for him. I think he was handling it very well. His property is well sought out for the amount of dogs that he had at that time. So I think he's doing very good, and I think, like what's been said in the past, I think it's a need in the community for sure. So that's it.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else from the board have any comments? Go right ahead, John.
Yeah, are you living in the house?
Yes,
Okay, so you're there 24/7.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yep. I mean, obviously, I have to shop once in a while.
Oh,
It's
the dog food.
yes.
No?
I'll hold my
Good.
comments till later, yeah.
No problem. All right, at this point, I'd like to open it to the public. If you have any questions or comments, you just please state your name for the record. Go right ahead.
In your address.
And address as
so
well.
we know.
Yeah.
Ken Kozak, I
Yep.
live at 79.
Yep.
With my wife right next door, Tony Kathleen and I. I understand that the letter has on there that there were show dogs trained at there. We were very close to Fran and Tina, Anthony's grandparents,
Mhm.
who lived there, and those are their personal pets that they had trained. It's not like they had a business there where they brought dogs in and trained other people's dogs.
Mhm.
Those are their own personal show dogs, and as they died off, James came along, and then Sam came along, their dogs, but they didn't bring in other people's dogs, so I don't want to make this sound like there was a business there before.
Mhm.
Okay, I want to stress that point. I personally have been keeping an eye open for how many dogs I actually see there. I've only seen 5 to 6 at one time. And I personally feel it's not a realistic representation of 15 to 25 dogs at this time, because whenever I've been home, the dogs have been inside. I may see them outside for 5 minutes as they do their job, whatever. But if there's been 9 dogs there, I haven't seen that many dogs. And the dogs, again, have been kept inside, whether it's for the weather, whether it's for the consideration of the noise, I don't know. But my concern is what's gonna happen later on. As 15 to 25 dogs are there, it's summertime, it's hot, the dogs are outside. Dogs are gonna be dogs. When one starts barking, the other gonna, it's the way they play. It's the way they get along. I was a dog owner myself. I'm deeply concerned with the noise level of those 15 to 20, potential 15 to 25 dogs. We have neighbors that have serious medical situations. And during the daytime, they may need to take naps, because of their health, their failing health, I should put down there. Right now, we've been lucky not to have snowfall. The road we live on is very narrow. We've had accidents there. We've even had a town DPW truck crash right in front of our house. Actually on the land that's where they live now. The road's too narrow. What's gonna happen when there's snow? When the road narrows even some more, and you're gonna have 15 to 25 people coming there, it's gonna create a traffic hazard. I and my wife, I can honestly say, are very strong supporters of small businesses. Very much so. That's what keeps America going. Not these big conglomerates like Amazon, which unfortunately we have in town. It's a small business like yourself, like you and Catherine have, that want to keep going. We support that very much. We just don't feel it should be on our street. It's a residential street. It's a very narrow street. It's where homes are. We feel that should be in a business section, more of a business section of the town. And I understand it's revenue for the town too. And how you want to please the town as well as please the neighbors. And right now, it's just, I don't feel it's a good representation of what's going to happen when 15 to 25 dogs come there, because again, on the state, I've only seen 5 to 6. The dog officer stated she has seen 9 the other day, so she's been inside the home, I take it, so she's seen them all. And lastly, the point I want to try to make is I feel what having the business on that residential road has a potential to lower the real estate values, because if people want to sell their home later on in life or whatever, a lot of people are going to be turned away because there's a business on that residential road rather than on a main road or on a, like, whether it's Route 20 or Route 31. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions?
Yeah. Yeah, actually I have a lot of the same concerns.
Just your name and address. if you
Oh,
don't mind.
sure.
Yeah.
It's Jane Bavon. I
Okay.
got 200 Center Depot Road.
Okay, yep.
My property abuts on that side
Mhm.
of what would be the doggy daycare. And I agree between keeping an eye and an ear out, as requested of us from the last time, if there were any issues to follow, with noise complaints. We've a couple of times heard, an increase of noise and looked to see how many dogs there are, and it's clear view now that there's no leaves on the trees. And the most we've seen at any time has been 5 to 6 dogs outside at a given moment that's making the noise. Agree also, it is not a fair representation. It wouldn't be a viable business if it weren't consistently 15 dogs at a time, as you were saying last time, like it has to be at least 15 in order for you to be able to operate. So we understand that even though you have up to 9 at a time now, it has, and you have however many clients you have now, it hasn't been consistently every time. So it would not be a fair representation to go by what we're hearing and seeing now, based on what he's going to need to build for a business. 90-day trial, I would imagine it's hard to get some clients and to build up your clientele when you don't have a full permit yet. So I don't actually even think it was necessarily a fair trial for you either to be able to try and build a business up to capacity in order to test out the noise levels. Especially at this time of year, where a lot of us are inside with our windows closed. I work from home 3 days a week and I'm usually home on weekends and have been throughout a lot of there's just been a lot of sicknesses here and there and around, so we have been reducing how often we've been going out on the weekends as well. So we're home quite often, to be able to say that consistently, we have not seen more than 6 dogs outside at a time for short periods of time. So, like you had said at the last meeting too, Jean, there would be an unrealistic expectation to think that dogs aren't gonna make noise. They're gonna make noise. I can't imagine there would be a happy doggy daycare if there weren't a certain level of noise. I would hate for the dogs to be so miserable if they're restricted, they can't make any noise. So I think it would be unrealistic to say that we wouldn't have noise in the neighborhood. I think, in addition, Don, you had said it's the neighborhood and the area and the buffer between what would be there and the neighbors that are abutting. That is the issue. And the real question is it a right fit for that neighborhood? I understand it's agriculturally zoned. I understand there was a horse and a couple of sheep on that property before, and that it is up to the board to allow a special permit. But it is up to us neighbors as well to kind of voice our opinions and please and ask and appeal to the board to have our best interests at heart as well. And that's why we're all here. So bottom line, that's really, I think there's no mitigation that can be put in place to realistically alleviate the amount of noise that we could all anticipate from 15 to 25 dogs. We know that there's a level of noise with 6, not something that you're necessarily gonna call on your neighbors for if it's happening at a half an hour at a time with 6 dogs, but if it's gonna be a consistent doggy daycare, 15 to 25, that's a completely different story.
May I,
Yeah, go right ahead, Ann.
thank you. So a couple of really interesting points that have been brought up already that I think is to our credit, and I guess thank you guys for noticing. You said that you haven't seen more than 6 dogs in your yard. Correct, because we run 2 to 3 packs of dogs in a given day. So there may be one group of dogs inside, or there's another group of dogs outside. So while that may not have been the experience of seeing kind of what's outside, part of that was because certain dogs play better with other dogs. You mentioned something about a half an hour at a time barking. That I'm 100% sure has not happened. We have a strict policy that if dogs begin to bark because of an Amazon truck, specifically because of Amazon trucks and mail trucks, because those are the 2 things that go by the road. If that barking has not been mitigated within 2 minutes, then the dogs are to be brought inside. So I know for sure that in the last 120 days, that has been met to a T. Yes, there are times the dogs are let outside. Ken, I think generally you get home after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. One of the things I've done and one of the policies I implemented because the board had said that they didn't want any dogs out after 6 p.m. One of the things I've done is I've taken that a step further and I let the dogs out pretty much from 3 to 4, and then I keep them inside from 4 to 6. I let them out one more time before they go home, because from 4 to 6 is pickup time. Which brings up the point about the pickups and drop-offs on the street. One of the services that we offer is a dog shuttle. So I have one person who comes and picks up to 5 dogs at a time to bring them home. That's our employee Kelsey. She's wonderful. In addition to that, their pickup window time generally is between 4 and 6 p.m. And we have the people that come and pick up those dogs between those hours. There's not a large group of people. I think the most I've had at one time, and it was one occasion, 3 people pulled into my driveway. They didn't have any problem pulling in, and none of them had a problem waiting. Now one of the issues at this point, we have a lot of mud because there's a lot of runoff and everything, but none of that is affecting the street. Everybody has been very easily able to park off of the street on my property, and the lines of sight up and down the street are very clear. There wouldn't be any places that even snow would be plowed unless we get a tremendous amount of snow where people backing out of my driveway wouldn't be able to see. So I just wanted to address kind of a couple of those points because they are logistic things that were discussed. But specifically with the 6 dogs, we have had, I do not run everybody outside at the end of the day. Just because, again, it's end of day. There are some dogs that are already tired. They're inside napping because they've had a long day. But generally I take all of the dogs out, once first thing in the morning, after 9 o'clock, once they're all there. We rotate them a couple of times between 9 and noon. They sleep from noon to about 2, and then I take them outside kind of one more time from that 12 to 4 period in 1 to 2 different groups. And then they're in for the day. So I hope that that just provides some clarification as to why what has been observed has been observed. In addition, as I mentioned, the first 90 days were done by myself. Now that I have Jordan there, and she is working more consistently, if the dogs are let outside, there's a human with them. Or I'm with, it's not just me being outside or inside and then having to kind of juggle between 2 groups of dogs myself. I have an additional employee now that can assist me in doing all of that, which obviously assists in noise management.
All right, thank you for clarification on that. All right, are there any other comments or questions from the public?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm sure you're aware that you remembered you got a letter
Yes,
that had 29 signatures from the
Correct.
surrounding area.
yeah, after the public hearing was,
Yes.
or the decision was made. The vote by the
Well,
board,
yes,
right?
and I didn't want to wait. Your letter kind of crossed with my letter.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't want to wait that long. I mean, it wasn't, your letter was dated the 22nd, my letter was dated the 23rd, so they kind of crossed
Right.
now. But the fact of the matter is, the surrounding residents who all did not get a letter, by the way, we did ask people if they did get one, and they are.
The abutters?
Yes, and butters, not just the butters, but in the immediate surrounding area who do hear the dogs barking.
Yeah, well, I guess when you go by the letter of the law for the filing and notification,
Well, we
Oh.
had a couple of, we know of one right now that didn't
Did-
get any letter.
okay, all right,
But in any event, we didn't know that people didn't know, and that's why we asked them. And we had 29
Yep.
signatures saying that they didn't want it for various reasons, very legitimate reasons. Specifically the noise pollution. I cannot remember a weekend morning last summer, and you know, this was just the start of it,
Mhm.
that we weren't awakened by dogs barking. And we're not late sleepers.
yeah. Now, did anyone call and make a complaint?
Well, we're neighbors, we talk to them, we like all our neighbors, we're a
Yeah.
nice community.
Yeah. Did anyone call Anthony and say,
We
hey?
spoken to Anthony.
Okay,
We have spoken, but again, dogs do what dogs do.
correct.
I can just walk up and down my driveway and the dogs are gonna bark at
Yep,
me.
yeah,
You know, I don't have to do anything. It's not just specific trucks. It's not just specific people. It's any movement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we understand that the realistic thing of this is going to be that we're gonna hear barking. And we're gonna hear barking at different hours and maybe all hours, who knows? But that was just, you know, one experience, and then to just, you know, increase that, you know, it's gonna happen. I don't know why. We can have a win-win situation if it's just located in a different area. You know, not in a residential area, not in their home. There's a lot of space on and off Route 20 or just off Route 20. You know, Charlton, it has big landmass. We don't know why it has to be specifically located in a very pretty dense repopulated residential area. I can ask each and every one of you to honestly tell me if you'd want to be next to a dog daycare, would you?
Listen, that no.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Would you? Be honest.
Probably not.
You?
Yeah, not if it's disruptive.
Yeah,
More so in the summertime.
and more so in the summertime or in good weather. That's what we're saying. We want to have, listen, we want to be good neighbors. We're all good neighbors. I know all these folks here. They're good folks. We like each other. We help each other out, you know. We look out for each other. We do the same for you. Why not have a win-win situation and locate it in a more conducive area?
Sure, if I, or for argument's sake, right? Would all of the neighbors that signed that petition be willing to financially support funding that? Because right now I have, that's the issue, is I'm a small business owner, right? Where's my overhead? It's my house, the facility's there.
I get it.
But your question last time was the same as your question this time. Why not put it somewhere better? I agree. Do you know where the Ramada Inn is, where it used to be over in Auburn?
Yeah.
My 10-year goal is to purchase that 14-acre plot of land and build a dog facility.
That's right.
That's my goal.
But
But where are we today? We're not there, right? We're not even at the ability to purchase a plot of land on Route 20, which, while maybe there's a lot of land available, isn't cheap.
Well, it's
Small businesses are small businesses for a reason. They start in a small place.
you have a very unique and specific small business that is disruptive.
You mentioned that the doggy daycare was disrupting you in the summer. The doggy daycare wasn't running then. I had just gotten Bonnie and Sam. Actually, we had just moved in. And, but two dogs that were poorly socialized, you knew my grandparents' health. They weren't allowed to be around anyone. That's not the dogs we
Well,
have.
we were around your grandparents and the dogs around that they wouldn't bark at us in the house. As soon as we left the house, we'd be barking their head off. They were gonna tear us apart.
Ken, didn't you tell me that you were really impressed with all the work that had been done with Sam over the course of time, just in the short period that I had been there?
Yes, and then I realized that it was Bonnie who was causing the issue and not Sam.
Okay, but I've also been working with, but Sam doesn't run up to you and bark the same way that he used to before. Things have definitely changed. When I come to the fence to you to talk, there may be a onesie or twosie, but a quick correction and it stops if I'm there talking to you. It's very different now than it was then. Because I'm not just someone running a doggy daycare. I am a trainer. I was trained with Canine Companions for Independence. I trained service animals. This isn't me just saying, oh, I like petting dogs all day. I'm bringing a wealth of knowledge to this that is helping the day-to-day lives of those people when they take those dogs home, because their lives are a little bit more put together because their dogs are quiet and they've had some training when in the day-to-day. And again, as a dog becomes more and more integrated into the pack that is there at the house, they become much more mellow. Do they run out? Yes, there's a transition period, right? When they run out the door, do they bark? Yes, it lasts about 30 seconds, then they all grab a toy and then they run around in circles. If a truck or something goes by, or you happen to go up and down the street and that's up and down your driveway, that's one of the reasons that when I can, I would love to upgrade the fencing to 6-foot fencing that they can't see through, because then that mitigates a lot of those problems. But again, we're talking about the beginning of a business, and we're talking about the cost that it's going to be once it's up and running to upgrade those things. It's not a long process. The numbers make sense. It just needs a little bit of time. And right now, we're effectively 1/4 behind where we could be, because if all of this process was able to be started 120 days ago, maybe we'd be at this meeting today saying, hey, I'd really like to upgrade that fence so that way I can mitigate all of the stuff, because I would have been able to get to capacity. But I wasn't able to do that. Because ethically, for me to say to someone, hey, I want you to come work for me, or hey, I want to take your dog on full time, and then not be sure if I can follow through on that, well, now it's my business and my business's name that's out there as, oh, well, he says things, but he can't follow through on them. So I haven't been able to pursue the things that I want to pursue out of respect for the people who may make major changes to their lives. So I think with what I have done, and Emily actually has a list of the dogs that I have currently enrolled in the daycare. I have 13 dogs currently enrolled. Yes, they're not there all the time, but I will say that consistently throughout the last 120 days, less the holidays, there have been between 8 and 12 dogs there in 1 to 2 groups, depending on the day and who gets along with who. that have been managed. And if there haven't been, I mean, you mentioned that you work from home 3 days a week. If you haven't heard lots of dogs barking, that's great news. I'm really happy to hear that because it means that I've done my job. And I think that that is one of the testaments to the fact that as much as there is a concern for the noise, this has been 4 months now. And no one's been able to say that they've heard dogs outside barking for even 15 minutes at a time.
I don't agree with that.
If there, if I can go ahead.
Real quick, Anthony, because we gotta get back
Sure,
on
yeah.
track here as far as what this public hearing is
Sure.
actually about.
Yeah.
If you have a comment, sir?
Are you done? I mean,
Well, I just want to say one thing.
Yep.
I mean, to say that, are we willing to finance your business? I get what you're saying. It takes money to start a business. But what's wrong with, working somewhere else and saving? I mean, that's what any of us would have to do. What you said was kind of like a non-starter. I understand what you're saying. It takes money. But why should, anyone else suffer because of it?
You have a
So,
comment? Just
yeah.
name and address,
So
please.
I'm Bill French. I live at 78 Little Mugget Road.
Yep.
Okay, I'm 3 houses up from you. I'm currently retired, I've been retired for a couple of years. I remember Fran, your grandfather. And I just want to jump back to what you were saying earlier about, I don't ever think there was any business in that place. Before I go on, I did not receive a letter from, in regards to any of this.
Just outside of the 300 feet.
Might not
Okay.
be one-
Yeah, it might have been outside the.
Okay,
The
with
foot
3
radius.
houses up.
Okay.
So. Fran had, what I remember was 2 dogs, pretty much. And I would drive by and we were kind of neighborly. I didn't go over and have coffee with them, we'd wave to each other or whatever like that. I've never seen more than those 2 dogs.
Mhm.
And I've been living there for almost 22 years. Okay?
Mhm.
As far as the dogs barking, I knew there was a change that I knew your grandfather passed.
Mhm.
And I knew somebody moved in there, I didn't know who. But it was probably early November, that I did hear dogs barking out there, all right? But I had no idea what was going on until I was just recently told. So, for whatever reason. But when I read this proposal about 15 or more dogs, I do have concerns, and I know, I heard what you said about, I take them out in packs and all of this and whatnot, I get that. Still gonna be dog barking. And I don't think it's realistically, when we say we do this trial, whether it's 90 days or 120, whatever, during these winter months, it's gonna be the same when it comes to be June. I also think, I'm sure the majority of you, if not all of you, have driven up this road, Little Mugget Road.
I'm sure. It's a
And,
cut through.
yeah, and it's all residential, right? There's no real business is going on there. I do have concerns about the real estate value of my home, and everybody else, I'm sure, who lives in the area, is the same thing. I have real concerns. You talk about, you want to build your business, I get that. When I hire people to do work around my house, and I've done a lot, I hire local people. I totally am all for that. Right? When you mentioned a minute ago, well, eventually I want to do this and this into the property, and all I'm hearing is that it's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not for that. To me, I live on a street where there's families. I don't have any children, but I've had a dog at my house for many years. And I love animals, and I love dogs particularly, but I have concerns about the noise, I have concern about my real estate value. And the street that I live on with the rest of the people here is residential. I know what the zoning is, right? I mean, it is what it is. But I have concerns. And you mentioned about a fence and all that, yeah, you do need a new fence eventually, if not sooner
That's
than
been there
later.
a long time.
Yeah.
Actually, you said you've known my grandfather for 22 years and you would have known that he had 7 dogs, actually. That would have,
Well,
because that was way back
that,
when.
what I remember seeing was 2 dogs out there actually in the back there, whatever. That's my point.
No problem. Yep.
And as far as the dog, like, no one's heard any dog barking. Well, there are some people like me that had no idea what was going on over there. So, just saying.
I just want to clarify too, I didn't say that I haven't heard any dogs barking. I said, I'm not gonna call my neighbor on a half an hour of 6 dogs barking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna, and maybe it's been 5 minutes of 6 dogs barking. I'd have given you a half an hour.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And when it's a small amount of dogs and you can hear them, I'm just concerned about what it means when we have triple that amount, quadruple that amount.
We live on a residential road, as far as I'm concerned. There are children there, regular families, pools in their backyard and all of that. And I feel really bad about the whole thing. I mean, I invested a good quarter of my life at this point working on my home and all of this, and all of a sudden there's gonna be a doggy daycare thing down there. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one.
Go right ahead. Yep.
Jonathan LeBlanc, a Little Nugget Road. Listen, what I hear, I'm 53 years old, so I have a different perspective than you do. To me, you're very young and I understand that, and financing isn't a great option for you because you're just starting out. I get that too. But where are you at with your plans? Show me a 5-year plan where you're on Route 20. Show me, this is my, show me the profit margin. Show me the map and how you're gonna get there. Sure. Don't talk about it. Show me the map and this is what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna get there. And by 5 years, we'll be here. That's all. I'm not. I have the same concerns because I live kitty corner to you. And I'll be home all day long too soon. But yeah, show me the map and a plan, but I still believe we need to continue some kind of a trial period, if that's the answer. You guys have a lot more experience doing this than I do, if that's it, or just no altogether.
That first run with the trial, isn't it?
Huh?
We've never really done a trial
No.
before.
Yeah, see, I don't know. You guys know. I sell Polish soda, so you guys know better than I do.
Yeah, because this is part of the special permit, right?
You want solar
The
seltzer?
issue
I
with
get
the
you seltzer.
seltzer is that, it has.
But you're very young and understand what you sound, how you sounded to me just now. You sounded like, kind of in a way, you were getting a little heated. I understand. You're a little red in the face. I get it. But I came up where I had to save for things.
Mhm.
You know, I couldn't go
Absolutely.
to college on my own. I had to join the military.
Yeah.
So for me, it sounded a little off,
Mhm.
but I'm all right with that. I understand you're younger, but don't take us as old guys that just feel like we're trying to crush you. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to find a happy medium where it's a win-win situation. But I'm no guru of finance.
Mhm.
All right? I just know, like my neighbor here, that's a big house for me. That's my dream home.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's where I'm coming from because I was fortunate enough to be able to get that.
For sure.
And I have one of the pools in the backyard too.
Mhm.
So,
It's not a question of your credibility or.
No.
your-
Yeah.
Your
no.
competency either. I 100% believe you know, being a trainer, you do a great job. But I need to stick up for my way of living in my peace and quiet and where I've chosen to have my quiet weekends. In the backyard, in the summer, my oasis, that's what I work hard for. That's what I've invested my money in, is to be able to live in an area where I can be peaceful and quiet. And those are my life choices based on the neighborhood that I chose to move in as well. So I get that it's like, wanting to have the support and really want to be able to support. I'm not the type that calls on my neighbors. I'm not the type that puts up a stink or a fuss whenever I do, support somebody. This is the first time that I've really kind of spoken up for myself and said, you know what? This may be infringing on what I've done and what I've built my life for how many years I've invested in this property and in this home. So I have the responsibility to myself and to the other neighbors who feel the same way, to at least voice my. It's not personal.
I hope you realize, Anthony, you and Catherine and Max, we love you guys.
For sure.
We really do.
I've never
So
questioned
it's
that.
not
Ken, you've
against
always
you.
been there to help me out. That's never been an issue.
Right, it's
so.
not against you, it's against the business,
Look,
you know.
there's a very important rule that I always live by, and that's business is business. Right now, this is a business conversation.
Right.
You guys are my neighbors, right? We own the house now. I am not going anywhere, all right?
Congratulations.
So one way or another, we're gonna do what we can do to be part of the community. So I understand that, and this is what it is as far as that's concerned. So for anyone who had any concerns about animosity after the fact, it's not how I roll, it's not how we roll. But business business is business. So, like you said, I am gonna passionately fight.
Of
for
course.
this, right? I'm 33 years old. I'm not as young as I look, but I
At the
know
same
a
time,
couple
your
things.
This comes from a different area than we do.
They do, absolutely.
That's okay, we're in a different generation, I understand that, I work with young people, I train every day in their twenties, and it's not easy, so. But my last thing.
Yeah, go
Mr.
right ahead.
Mansky,
Yes,
do you guys know, you board members, do you know where we live and what's on the back of our hill? What's
yes.
Up there?
The farm.
Okay, yeah,
And the water tower.
well, they're a lot
Tower.
quieter being sheep than they are dogs.
Yeah.
All right, because you know, I got llamas and sheep in my backyard.
Yep.
All right, so you know that, yes, that darn wire falls down from their freaking fire tower all the time. They've come out and replaced it 3 times in 17 years.
Yeah.
So yes, if you know where I live, I have sheep in the back and they're quieter, unfortunately, than your dogs. I hear a little moo moo and the llama gets mad and he, "Ah." So, yeah, I get it.
So I was just gonna flock of sheep,
Well, I mean, if you could take a sheep daycare business on, all right, maybe.
start boarding horses.
But no, I have the sheep behind my my neighbors know that. We have sheep, you know that, Bill. We have sheep behind. No.
All right, any other comments or questions from the public?
Can they hear?
Oh, yeah, they can, yeah, they can,
Everybody on the,
they could raise their hand or
Is there
they,
anybody on Zoom that would like to, watch to come, just unmute yourself?
raise your hand or unmute yourself and you can speak.
That's cool.
all right. Hearing none, seeing none.
Well,
All right, do we want to close the public hearing?
I'd be happy to say,
Comment?
well, I'd be happy to say my piece first.
All right, go ahead.
I was on Zoom last time. when
Yes.
I was here, and I understood the neighbors' concerns when they came in here, and you don't want to go up against a neighbor and upset a neighbor by saying, no, you can't do something, but I felt they were pleading to this board to please don't allow this. This is disruptive and it will disrupt our lives. And I read that and unfortunately, I was surprised with the way the vote went, but
Yep.
that's nothing said. So I did a little look at it and there's about 29 houses within 500 feet of this house. So it is a thickly settled residential neighborhood. The plot of land is 2.5 acres, 2.5 acres. Most of that is wetland. So it's really kind of it's the buildable lot or the upland part of that lot is much smaller than that. So it's not a big lot where these dogs can roam. They're right up against the fence. They're right up against the neighbor's fence. So it is there. I've been by the house. I've taken a look at it. I know the neighborhood. I don't live that far away from it. First of all, Anthony, I thought your comment about your neighbors financing your business was a little flippant.
Well, and I,
Personal. So that aside, and I understand your frustration and everything, but I had to say that.
that's fine.
Normally, when we get a business that would open up in any of the district, we look at parking, we look at lighting, we look at fencing, we look at screening. Where it is. This business didn't go through any of that. And it is a residential house. It's got a small driveway. There's no really very little parking for more than 3 or 4 cars that would come in there. And definitely not at the same time. One would be blocking the other one. It's like having a big party at your house, who's moving cars, who's shifting cars. I just don't think in a residential neighborhood is the right place for a dog boarding facility. You know, and I understand we allow it in an agricultural zone. And if you had 30 acres of land and you didn't have neighbors, you know, you didn't have 30 neighbors within 500 feet of your house, go for it. You know, that's the type of thing where you've got sufficient parking, you've got sufficient standoff, you've got sufficient distance from residential neighbors who paid a lot of money for their house and lived in their dream homes that they wanted to be in and bought not next to a doggy daycare. I would not buy a house next to a doggy daycare. And that's kind of where I'm standing. So I understand where the residents come from, and I like small businesses when they're in properly zoned areas and they don't affect residential taxpayers. So that's my objection to this. It's always been my objection to this. So I'm sorry. I wish you had a better location for it, but I can't support it, and I really do feel for the neighbors that would have to eventually put up with the dog barking because
a probationary period is very easy to contain and behave and follow the laws and not cause a problem. Once you go beyond that, to do that in perpetuity and forever is going to be difficult, and there are going to be problems. It's not a matter of when, if, it's a matter of when. Like I said, so that's where I am. I feel for the neighbors and that's all I have to say.
Hey, Brian, just quick question. Alls we're here on the public hearing for is if he can increase or decrease from 15 dogs based on complaints and from the animal control officer, right?
Right,
It's not whether or not to allow it or not, right?
right, that was
Okay.
the whole intent with the first.
So what would it be? Would you decrease it to?
I would, 5 is manageable, I would think. Even if my neighbor had 5 dogs. If I had a neighbor that had 5 dogs and they were barking all the time, I'd speak with my neighbor. It'd be a nuisance, but they're pets. This is a business that he's making money on by potentially disrupting your life. So I don't like it there at all. I don't know what I'd lower to.
All right, I see your point. All right, you wanna?
I think we're setting a bad precedent by allowing a disruptive business in a residential
That's
neighborhood.
why I asked you, what would we lower it to? Because that's all we can discuss right now based upon this hearing,
Which could be any number from 0 to 15.
or increase it.
Yeah.
15 is the baseline. So, and then I guess it's based upon complaints. And what information from the animal control officer that we have had, that we received. So, I guess to keep this moving, do we want to take any more public comment and close it to any comments to the public, or? Or do you want to continue? Yeah,
Everybody feel that they.
just to keep this moving.
I can say that I know a person's having a problem, they wanted to speak, but they're having a problem with their Zoom or being able to speak.
And I think that's happening a lot, because there's a lot of people up there.
Yeah, they all.
I don't know.
They're good each other. It's all meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, like, we know.
It was Chris.
Chris is up
You can
there.
unmute.
Okay, no, it's right there.
You have to unmute. yourself.
There you
Hi,
go.
Krista Manser at 203 Center Depot Road. The only thing I wanted to say was that, I have 2 dogs and I walk the dogs. And the dogs that have been there, when they are out, I have reactive dogs and I'm taking care of that. I'm getting them into training. Maybe you can help me out with that. But because they're reactive and because of the size of the road, because the road narrows around that circle, when I go by your house, I'm really concerned, because they lunge for wherever the dogs are. And I broke my arm 2 months ago because they lunged and I went with them and I broke my arm. And I'm just concerned that if they lunge and I'm walking down the street, they're going to get hit only because of the traffic and because it is a cut through. So that's my concern about them. I mean, I don't hear them so much, but I am concerned about how the dogs, without, because there's no netting on the fence or anything, how my dogs are reacting to your dogs. Now, like I said, I understand I'm responsible for a lot of that, but I may not be the only person who
Yeah,
has
and
responsibility.
I 2 of the dogs are my personal dogs, Bonnie and Sam, they're the ones who were there before. And unfortunately, they're the worst of the pack. And because they're my dogs, they would still continue to be there. So, I mean, obviously I will do everything I can, just so that in the future, to keep an eye out. But if I'm just letting them outside, to go run around and play, in the fenced in backyard, I don't really always have an idea of who's out front.
Understood.
But no, that is good information. And I have noticed that people who are out walking their dogs, so I apologize for even that happening just in general, because it's reactive dogs are tough, so.
Thank you.
I think the third one over from the top. I think that one. Just like, yeah, I think I remember from the last meeting, correct?
There you go. Oh, hello.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I'm Gabor Medvetsky. I live at 77 Little Mugget Road. Unfortunately, while I love the small business aspect, having a small business I agree with all of our neighbors that it's not the right place to have, a doggy daycare because of the noise pollution, because of the traffic. And,
Property
and of course, our property value. So, I guess if our neighbor would like to fund the extra money that we're losing in our property values, if we can put a lien on their property, just to to break us even, that would be a solution that I would propose. But otherwise, it's a ridiculous concept to put a doggy daycare with noise pollution into our neighborhood. It's a thickly settled neighborhood. So I don't know. I hate to escalate this more, but this is going into a bad place, and it would be nice if it could be stopped at this point. There has to be a different solution. What about selling the house and purchasing a piece of property in a commercial, zoned neighbor or area? That's a solution.
Because when summer comes, we don't want to be hearing dogs.
Because I work in Boston most of the time, and I've spent the last month at home, and I hear the dogs in the morning, I hear the dogs in the afternoon, and I do hear them when they go out for their little run, and of course we're not going to call our neighbors just like everyone else, we're trying to be nice neighbors, but this is getting ridiculous. So I don't know.
When no one in the area wants it, why is it going on? That's bottom line what it is.
There are 2 doggy daycares, one on Route 20 that I see, and there's one next to the Turnpike on West Street in Auburn that I see all the time. Those are all next to highways or, very loud trafficy areas where, I guess it's acceptable there because you already have noise pollution, but our neighborhood is pretty much quiet. So it would be nice to
Sit outside and not hear dogs barking in the summer.
yes, please.
Yeah.
If it's possible.
All right, thank you for your comment. All right, are there any other comments? All right, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So after we close.
Then it's discussion amongst.
Yeah, then it's
discussion.
discussion amongst.
Yeah.
Guys, all set? Yeah, I'll make a motion, close the public hearing.
All right, there's a second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
So whatever the decision is.
All right, thank you, Alicia. All right, so what we have on the table, based on the public hearing, is to determine if the restriction of 15 dogs per day should be increased, the decrease, stay the same, based upon the noise complaints from the abutters and or the animal control officer.
Through the chair.
Go right ahead.
So I was gonna make a comment, maybe
Go ahead.
a motion to follow that.
Yeah,
So I think what we've discovered is this probationary period was very successful. I'm glad we launched such a thing in order to hear these comments. So you're in front of the planning board. We're elected officials. We represent the townspeople and the community. In this case, the community is very small. You're looking at them. Randy, our planning board director, has a file of letters and comments that he received from the community. As Don said, of 29, 30 abutters and neighbors around the community. So we represent them, and that's exactly what the probationary period was for, to hear back some feedback. And in fact, I don't think we hit all of the neighbors. I'm hearing that Mr. French just was advised of it. There may be other people that didn't know that they have a voice and can supply feedback. So just, I think the opinions that we've heard and having neighbors show up at a meeting, on their own time after dinner, it takes a lot of commitment. So behind that commitment, there must be strong opinions and beliefs and feelings about their business. And I haven't heard one that's positive and supportive of such a business. That says it all right there. It's really, we're an instrument of the community. And so I can't vote to support any more than 0 dogs at the podcast property.
Go right ahead, Sean.
I commend you for coming out. We had a large storage facility, Amazon came, right?
Yeah.
We had 6 months of public meetings. Zero,
You're kidding.
zero.
Nobody showed up here?
No one showed.
How was that handled, Mr. Mansky?
As far as what?
Is it 500 feet from
Yeah.
wherever?
Large.
Because-
Planning.
The butter, let's quite large.
Yeah.
Well publicized. All these are well
Publicized, on the website, everything.
Well, then I have to pay more attention.
Well, there you go. It's a small town.
Yeah,
And if you don't pay attention what's going on.
Right.
We're left with I went to houses and begged people that, well, this thing's
You're
gonna
gonna have
be
to
here.
beg me.
Come look,
It's not gonna do
come
it.
look, come be a part of the process.
Don, you did a great job being on video chat last time. That was a
Well,
good job.
thank you, but I'm just telling my feelings. so.
But
No, I
but-
get that.
But the bottom line is, the only way we know feedback is when people come, you write a letter, you come up and show and face, and that's what it is.
And that's how it happens a lot. If something comes before the board and nobody's arguing against it. And we can't find a good reason to,
Yes.
to
Yes.
not support it, then it goes
Yeah.
through because.
And
nobody here.
and to Billy's point, we are elected, and we represent you too, you know, and our intentions, I think, of the board was to give you a fair shot. And to give you people a chance to say, well, what's going on and hear and complain to the animal officer, which there was no complaints, but I understand that you people, you wouldn't want to rat out your neighborly, that's fine. So that's fine, but being a neighbor also is not, they're being very neighborly. So it reciprocates to you as you are a neighbor now too, so that's all I have to say.
I'm just taking it all in.
okay.
Well, Gene, next time I see anything, I'll be here. I can't believe that, was it 90 million square feet over there? No. What is it? It was huge. It was a big number for me.
1.6, 1.6.
2.8.
Yeah, 20 million, what's it, 600?
And then the lights, and the Christmas tree on top, I'm like, you mean nobody showed up for that?
We
It's
had
pretty
6
massive.
6 months of a meeting, they went through every
6 months.
6 months of meetings.
We got
Did
very
you
good.
do the tax incremental financing thing they talked about?
No,
That's through the board.
That's for us, what?
Okay.
That's another department.
Oh,
But moving forward, yeah.
oh, geez, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, Alicia, she's part of the board. Yeah.
Do you want to speak?
Go ahead, Alicia. Yeah, she's raising her hand. Go ahead, Alicia.
So I just have one comment, and I have to say that these are some of the nicest abutters I've ever heard at a meeting, and I've been in meetings for years. Rather than go 0 dogs, it sounds like everyone is okay with some, just not the 15. What if that we could come to some sort of agreement to have less than the 15, but not all the way down to 0? I mean, is there a starting point where 5, 7, I don't know what that number is, but is there a better number than 0 rather than kill the business? Since we're just here to discuss whether it's 15 or less, 15 or more, what if we just reduce the number? And we talked about a probation period, so we don't do a probation period, but we reduce it down to say 5. And then if 5 works, if after a year, they come back before us.
I think Alicia, and I'll check with you, Anthony, didn't you have a baseline as far as what your break even was for your
Right.
operation? And what was
Break
that
even
number?
10.
Break even was 10.
Okay,
that was
and I wasn't sure if there was a way to alter that number. So could you go down to say 5 and make some modifications so that way the neighbors are, the abutters are happy? You still get something, and then maybe as you build up the business, you're talking about a business plan, building it up. Maybe in a year or two after the 5 and making some adjustments, there's better ways, there's better fences, there's better noise cancellations, there's just something that can help. Just a thought.
But
All
how's
right.
that gonna work?
Yeah, Alicia, he'd be below his break even as far
Okay.
as.
Okay.
operation. As far as when it comes to the business
Just
on the 5, go right ahead.
I mean, that's really not our concern. It's more the
Yeah,
commitment, feedback from the neighborhood.
Gotcha. yeah. The thing that I have is, everything was based on this public hearing is based upon noise complaints and the comments from the animal control. No noise complaints came in. Animal control had no calls, responses, did inspections. That's the problem, the issue that I have, because this is what strictly with this, and it was right in the special permit what this probation period was based upon. That's just I'm just throwing that out there as far as what we're here for on this public hearing and what it was based around. Not about whether, yes, I want it, no, I don't.
Right.
Can I?
Go ahead, but yeah,
Mr.
absolutely,
Chairman,
that's
so-
what, yeah.
I mean, I think what we had, just luckily we had the probationary
yeah.
period. And I think that kind of represents a little bit more time to evaluate the business, even though it's noise complaints. What we did hear strongly from is more than 30 neighbors did take the time to respond. And I mean, that is a surrogate of complaints of the business. So, and I think that's really what our purview is, to understand if there's a complaint of the business as a whole.
I got you.
Not just noise, not just
Okay.
lighting, not just
All
traffic.
right.
I mean, the whole, let's take a look at
whole
the
scope of it.
holistic business. And that was, to me, a very clear indication that there were, the neighborhood had problems with the business as a whole.
All right, any other comments from the board? All right, you have a motion to close the public hearing.
But we've already closed
Yeah.
the public hearing.
Close it.
No,
Public comment.
sorry, public comment. Oh, yeah, wait.
We already closed. it.
Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, now it's all in.
Is there any motion?
Well, we're doing a motion in a second now.
Is there any motion on the floor? Anyone have a motion?
Through the chairman.
Go right
So
ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to adjust the special permit for here, Podcast LLC, to make an adjustment down to 0 dogs to be held at the business, so a dog kennel license with basically with no dogs, commercial dogs on the property.
Go right ahead.
Just on Bill's motion, if it passes or not, does it automatically go to the 15, or could there be a second option?
It could be,
second option, just so if we don't say we vote.
So just a point of order, I
Go
think
ahead.
what we could do is second the motion, then we open up discussion, and I could edit the
Modify it.
motion, or someone table the motion,
Good discussion in a second.
Okay.
so that it opens.
So I hate taking anybody's business away. And, if it was an accounting business where you have an accounting customer that comes in one at a time and does business, that's a good business for a residential neighborhood, or you're a realtor and you have customers that come to your house, one at a time or 2 at a time to sign paperwork, and it's not disrupting the neighborhood, and it's really benign. That's a good neighborhood business. A daycare, doggy daycare, where you've got animals that are somewhat in your control, but not completely in your control, is disrupting, and that's not a good neighborhood business. I wish you had more property with a larger setback from other houses. But to have that business in a thickly settled residential neighborhood is tough. And it's tough for me to support with any number of dogs. So that's where I am.
I originally said, let's go for my point was get them all there and find out what it sounds like, but that didn't happen only because of the time of year and such. And probably if they were all there in the summertime, there'd be many complaints, but that's, I tell them not knowing there, so.
You have it in me in a while.
Yeah, well,
I'm telling that.
and I don't think they're not supportive of you, Anthony, but there is a large amount of people that are not wanting that business. And you're in the neighborhood. So I would. I don't know, just a pack of dogs. I know it's not gonna work for you financially but. I can't see. Doing more than, I think there was 7 dogs there at one time before. But they were owned by, the dog's a dog. I mean. To me, I don't.
And it didn't last, and there
I
were
know.
less houses.
The dog ate my lunch, yes, I understand that.
Actually, the bylaws do allow for 5 personal
It has
dogs.
5 personal dogs, so. Yeah,
Up to 5, not including 5.
What's that?
I believe, Emily, you're still on, the smallest kennel license, is it 5?
Yes, 0 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that 0 to 5, okay. Okay. That started at 5. Okay,
I think Bill's point, it's not up to us to. That's not the point of him making a business out of it, it's just those are the facts,
okay, so you're saying 0 dogs
Mhm.
as kennel, as
Well.
0 dogs that are not owned by him,
Mhm.
okay. But he could technically own,
Yeah,
okay,
each community member can, yeah.
okay. Okay,
All right, all those in favor?
what was, what
That's
is
the
motion?
original motion, 0 dogs.
Yeah. There was a motion on the table to
Oh,
change the special permit down to 0 dogs for podcast LLC. Aye.
All right,
aye.
No. All right,
Alicia.
Alicia,
No,
4-2.
Thank you folks for all coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, 7:05, we had a public hearing scheduled for the Barton Center for Diabetes Education Incorporated Camp Johnson Facility State Plan Modification at 150 Richardson's Corner Road. And today received an email from the applicant engineer that they request a postpone for the next meeting on January 18th if possible.
Yeah, get out there.
The engineer losing his voice and actually time to work on some engineering issues.
I feel bad.
For anybody that may be on Zoom, the meeting will be postponed to January 18th. For the Fair Park Center.
Put the burden on you guys.
All right,
Just time of the hearing, we don't have coaches yet. but-
go right ahead, Anthony.
I apologize, this is really important. We have clients there right now, obviously. We
Yeah.
have till the end of
Yeah,
the month
yeah.
to get them situated.
Do your thing, Anthony.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing will be done.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hearing us.
Thank you
Thank you.
for
Good night.
coming.
How often do you update the website so we know what's going on?
If you go on to. There's a calendar right on the homepage, and if you click on the dates, you can see which,
Or it is
board
meeting,
is meeting when, and then you can go to that.
and then the
board site,
agenda is.
and you'll
put up
see the
on that
agenda.
calendar.
We did that for the town meeting for Amazon, but we didn't.
That's town, that's a
we didn't-
different thing.
We didn't know this, it was something different, or else we would have been there.
Every time there's a meeting.
Planning board has a website, has a Facebook page too. If you, something, yeah, I was gonna say, so that's one information, but, best thing to go is on the website. We meet every Tuesday, every other.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
they're not bad people, come see it. Usually Gene has chocolate, but
I know, but you know, it's after the holidays. No, it's being after the holidays.
I'll take one of those, by the way.
Yes, there you go. I thought you were gonna be clumped there. Thank you.
All right, Jocelyn requested for the continuance to January 18th. I know our agenda is pretty full with 4 of the public hearings for the battery. Do you want to have them on the 18th? Do you want to have them on the 1st of February? On that one. This 18th, what do you want to do?
How involved? is
Thanks,
that?
guys, for having us. I really
Which one? The Jocelyn? Very involved.
I anticipated a lot of.
Yeah, we might have some,
There's
a lot of public comment.
Yes, I heard that.
Yes.
So
We'd have to have a policy
that,
form.
that alone might, you know, take the time to give everybody in the public an opportunity to be heard.
Yeah, so
February.
you want to do February 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't opened the public hearing yet. so
Yeah,
leave it light.
Leave
Yep.
it.
All right, so
Would
February,
that be okay with the
Applicant?
applicant?
should give them one and then enough time to address whatever outstanding issues they're
Give
aware
some
of.
more information for us?
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
help them out.
actually, building commissioner, Kurt Metcalf, there's a letter in there. He requested that he need more time because they haven't provided him information, so it actually gives them an opportunity.
And Board of Health needed more information too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're helping.
Okay, all right. So February 1st, is that public hearing for the Camp Jocelyn facility on 150 Richardson's Corner Road?
No.
All right, next up, we got Irish Jennings and Mass General Law, Chapter 61A release request. We have a letter from Donald O'Neill. Lists, has a map,
It is,
A&R, the lots they look to take out of 61A, correct, Randy?
yes, it's basically the laws. I don't know if you remember earlier this year, the Irish getting came in, which made our laws, and this is just take the lots that were approved by the A&R out of 61A, so they can
All right, we
move
just
forward.
vote on first right of refusal, right? on
Yeah,
those?
we just request it and make a recommendation. The town exercises right of refusal to purchase the property. And we recommend to the selectmen.
Does the town have any funds for open space, purchasing open space? I mean, did they ever do anything like that? I know a lot of towns do that.
I think
And
they
that's
listed it all at
community
the town meeting in October.
Yeah, I was gonna say, community funds or something put together for open space where they could buy some of this undeveloped land and
It's amazing. You go to Sturbridge and there's walking paths.
Yeah.
There's, I mean,
yeah, the town's investing in its future
Yeah.
by keeping open
Yeah.
space and keeping the town.
I'm amazed with the town this size. I mean, behind the Masonic home is very nice, but.
But that's not our problem, that's,
No,
but it's something that,
yeah.
I mean, nice to,
How big is this lot? It's only
Oh,
8
it's pretty
acres.
long, right?
yeah, this.
Big lot that we proved previously.
This is, my question wasn't necessarily on these
Yeah.
lots,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It's
you know,
general.
coming up in the
that's good.
future, there's gonna be a lot of,
Yeah.
things like that would have been. There's properties that are under development in this town that would have been nice open space for the town to own. And preserve.
From what I understand, a lot of the open space in town was donated or given to the Worcester Community Land Trust, and it is run by the Midstate. So it's technically part of the town, it's just not owned or maintenance by the town.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion to not act on first right of refusal or?
Yeah, recommend that the town exercise first right of refusal to purchase the property.
I'll make a motion that the town does not issue first right of refusal for this property.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, next up, we got St. Mary's Way subdivision covenant release request, which is on Stafford Street. It's right across from Cook's Farm.
They had requested to release covenants on the 3 existing lots. They were 4 lots total, one already has a house on it. They're not seeking to get reimbursed any bond money or anything at this time. They just want to start building homes. So they also need to provide to me or to the board the actual language that has to be supplied at the Worcester registry of deeds. Before they'll actually be able to officially get the covenant released.
There's no bond, what about the bond?
There is a bond, but they're not asking for a
Yeah.
bond reduction.
Okay,
They just want to be able to get building permits to build houses up there.
Gotcha.
The road's in, it's tarred,
Yeah, they
it
did.
has not been.
They've
approved as
actually
public
done the
way yet,
bulk
but
of the work.
it's okay.
But they're not seeking to reduce the bond at this time.
so what's the release? Why can't they just start? What's
They
the
need
release?
releases so that they can get a building permit.
Yeah, it's, well, all subdivisions have that until a certain amount of construction has to be done,
Okay.
primarily the infrastructure, road, and
Got it.
everything.
Of the sub.
So this is actually a road in front of the house is being built, you know?
Thank you, I got it. So like an approval of the subdivision.
Yeah.
basically, is couple of rules.
Randy, on item 3, what's this, the town applies for the, the S1 tariff for that light on the telephone?
Yeah, now, like,
What's the town need to do there?
because it's gonna be town
Oh, okay.
owned and managed, just like I had to do that for Hammer Hill.
Yes, okay, gotcha. All right. All right, do we have a motion to approve the covenant release request for St. Mary's Way subdivision?
So moved.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Second that.
All right, all those in favor?
I,
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next up, we got Charlton Developer LLC, 241 Sturbridge Road, site plan special permit, annual approval extension request.
They have not given it to me in writing yet,
Okay,
so
all
we're
right.
postponing that.
No problem, postponed. All right, next up, we have appointment for Central Mass Regional Planning Commission Delegate for fiscal year 2023. Gene, will you be up or willing to do reappointment?
if somebody else would like to, I have no problem. If nobody else wants to, I will stick with
All
it.
yours, you're doing a good job.
Take it
excuse
easy,
me,
Ben.
I'll make a motion, we reappoint Gene for the
Jane?
CMRPC. Excuse me.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I,
Aye. I think Don's on that.
Thanks. Mr. Chairman, just in essence of the last item on our agenda.
No problem.
Sorry.
Thank you,
Is,
Jane.
the FEMA representative.
No problem.
Because at this point, we're not doing the public hearing. I
Correct.
think you're gonna give us an overview.
Yes,
Because she's been
yeah,
sitting.
very patiently.
Yeah, patiently
yeah.
waiting.
All right, so we have discussion with the floodplain management specialist Nadia Madden on zoning bylaw update to comply with FEMA floodplain regulations. All right.
Hi,
How you doing?
good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you've had a chance to look through, I think I've been talking to Randy for a bit. And I don't know if you had a chance to look through the comments we've made on your floodplain bylaw, if you had a chance to see the letter that FEMA sent out about the maps that have now been issued for your county and for Charlton. But I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Just for the board to say, I actually went through Nadia was kind enough to look at our bylaws and see what areas need to be amended to meet the new FEMA floodplain regulations, and I reviewed it all. A lot of it is in the floodplain portion of our bylaws, and they're very straightforward changes, and there's a couple of like definition changes as well. The intent is that now they can embellish on this a little more than me, but we want to get this at our annual town meeting in May. So the town stays in compliant, so we would have to like notice for a real public hearing for the bylaws amendments and everything, but relatively speaking, they're minor. Because we've done all those changes last year, so it's not like a overwhelming amount of work to amend the bylaws.
Anyone from the board have any questions or anything or comments?
So I'm not, just run me through the highlighting on this document, red, blue, yellow. Purple. Was it just, is there any order to the commenting or is it just color coded by?
You know, she was pointing out the areas where the changes should be made.
Okay.
And I went and reviewed them and I agree with the changes. I mean, they're here for the board, you know, you'll be able to take those with you, then, you know, take a look at them.
Okay.
More so, and also they have new floodplain maps coming out, which is why there's a lot of new numbers as far as changes.
Did
The
conservation?
new floodplain maps come out yet, not yet, or they're coming out?
Yeah, there's already been a letter. So the letter was issued for the new maps on December 21st. And so Charlton has 6 months. So until June 21st. So by June 20th, you should have voted on an updated bylaw that meets all the requirements for the FEMA, you know, for sort of the flood requirements for the National Flood Insurance Program. So that then that can be approved by FEMA Region 1. So as long as, you know, you have got to an updated bylaw that meets all those goals, we're going to recommend to FEMA, and we know you've had the vote, we'll recommend to FEMA that that you are in compliance with the program. So
That benefits the property owners that have to carry flood insurance on their property in town.
Yeah.
If we are compliant with the program, do they receive any sort of discount on their flood insurance or not necessarily?
well, I mean, I think if you're in the program, they're able to get the flood insurance. There is another step where you could join the CRS, but there's sort of a bunch of steps to that, and that does allow towns to get discounts on flood insurance. So we can certainly talk about that if that's something you're interested in. But there aren't that many houses, I think, with flood insurance in Charlton. I think there's, let me see. You've got 18 policies right now.
That's it.
I mean, through the chair,
Go right ahead, Joe.
do you have a rough number of how many people would need that now due to these new regulations?
Though for the flood insurance, would it change anything? I've looked a little bit. You might want to look more carefully. And I've sent Randy some instructions on how you can get your new maps, the preliminary maps. I've looked at the maps that I've seen. I haven't seen many big changes in your town. If anything, a lot of the flood areas have shrunk a little bit because FEMA has more detailed information than they had in the past, especially about sort of land surface topography and things like that. So if anything, it looks like some flood areas have disappeared. But I haven't looked at it in detail. I can certainly hook you up with the FEMA map coordinator for Massachusetts if you really want detailed information on that. But though, yeah, those maps should be available.
I think that would be.
Lisa saying yes, please, so. If you could send that, and if you send it to me, I can forward it to all the board members.
Yep. And I'll send that information out again so that you can go and look at the maps yourself on the FEMA flood map viewer, and you can talk to the Region 1 contact for mapping as well.
Is something conservation should be looking at as well, or?
They're looking at this, Randy, conservation? This famous stuff?
But actually, this started,
Or did it start over there?
with Todd and myself.
Oh, okay.
Before
Oh.
Todd left, we had gone to, actually we went to Southbridge when they first were introducing the new maps, and so that we could sit there and look at the changes in the map and make any recommendations
Oh.
that might be, you know, if we agreed or disagreed with something or thought something might be able to be changed. They gave us an opportunity to do that. So we actually went through them, more Todd than myself, because he was much more familiar with the waterways and everything. And then gave them feedback on what we found, that was part of him. Getting hurt, so,
Oh,
yeah, this has been going on for a little while.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a multi-year process and kind of got to the end of it at this point or getting closer.
When do we need to review these and approve these changes? So, May,
For town
We have
meeting.
so
to.
we're looking at mid-April?
Yeah, I mean, we can just do a placeholder on the warrant, but the one thing we have to do is since it's a bylaw revision. I have to do a 30-day notice on that public hearing. You know, I think it's gonna be a non-issue. I don't think we're gonna have a lot of input on it,
Okay,
so.
let's, my opinion, let's get that started sooner than later, because there may be something else that comes up that's.
Well, that's.
It hits us
my
at the
hope
very
too.
end,
That's
so.
why we're
Okay.
doing this now,
Okay.
so I get the ball rolling.
Okay, yep, go ahead and schedule it, then. We'll look at it.
All right, Nadia, if you don't have anything, we're all set. Thank you for your time.
Sure, sure. I'm happy to be here and I'll follow up with Randy as well. Have a good night.
Oh, wait, shoot. Wait, one more thing, Nadia. When do the new regulations and mapping take effect?
Did you say June?
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna be, so it's 6 months from the date of the letter. The letter was December 21st, so it's gonna be on June 21st of this year. So you can actually, if the town decides, you can actually have your building inspector, you can choose to start using the maps even before, because now they've been finalized. Or you can do it, you know, I think after the 21st, they'll actually be up on the FEMA mapping site where they're really easy to get at. Rather, right now, they're a little more hidden away at the moment. So yeah, so you have until then to basically by midnight on the 20th of June is, you know, that's when you need to have voted it in by.
So can I ask a wicked quick question? And I apologize only because I run into this a lot. Are you doing this for all the surrounding towns as well, or do they have to vote it in before the timeline takes place?
Yep, FEMA updated the maps for the whole Quinnebog watershed. So there's about 14 towns in the area in Worcester and Hampden County that we're working with. Everyone's on the same timeline this spring.
Awesome. So as of June 30th, if we had someone in a flood zone before that, they might be out of the flood zone after that when you guys rezone?
Well, you gotta look at the maps. There's
I
not
will.
huge changes. I'm not gonna say that many properties have come out. However, some areas are, you know, some of the flood zones appear to be smaller in Charlton than they were. So you'd have to look in detail at the new preliminary maps to determine that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure,
All right, thank you, Nadia.
sure. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, next up, we got a couple A&Rs.
Yes.
Change 7:30?
Do you know, just to follow up on this FEMA thing?
Yeah,
Does FEMA send a letter to the property owners? Like, is there any?
I highly doubt it.
I doubt.
There's no
It probably comes
notification?
to the town.
Yeah. Don't
But
play your-
I
How
can
do they
answer that.
know- How do they know?
Go
it
ahead,
changed?
Alicia.
Yeah, so what happens is they do send a letter because a person in a flood zone has to have flood insurance, and flood insurance is extremely expensive. Once they drop, they can drop flood insurance. And I've had people pay off properties to get out of flood insurance. And the reason I'm so interested is I had another guy in Sturbridge whose corner of his deck was in a flood zone, but the rest of his property wasn't. So he had to have flood insurance if he took a mortgage on the property. And when he found that out, the flood insurance was going to be like $3,500, even though if that area flooded, because it was just down, it was silly the way it all worked out, but the way it worked. And he said no. So it's a real big deal because the flood insurance, I had another guy real quick in Rhode Island, his flood insurance was going to be $10,000 because he was on the ocean in Rhode Island. So anybody that can get out of flood insurance will get out very quickly because it's such a big deal.
Yeah, there you go. That's our new purchase.
Good luck with the flood insurance.
I got it. Thank you. The thing with flood insurance is that then it's not what it covers. What was it, storm surge, or is it?
Yeah, exactly.
And those are all extras.
Yes, they are. So that's.
Look at that.
Situated.
Well, actually, last winter. I
Everything
had
floods in
flood-
Situate.
Flooding in my basement of my house for the first time ever. And I found out that unless you have flood insurance, that's not covered because it's an act of nature. However, if a water
Yeah.
pipe broke, then you're covered, so
Yeah.
next time.
Drinking water pipe. So John, we can see you on the Jews of the next Nor'easter?
Yeah,
Up there in-
well, that's, so Noreen's cousin is Beth Germani, and that was
Okay.
her house, and she
Okay.
already reported there for Channel 4, so,
Okay.
so it's like.
Oh,
she was Yeah, so she already reported from her deck.
Oh, there you go.
That's a riot.
Yeah,
No wonder they have her.
just keeps coming.
So, yeah, they are carving out essentially, actually been another lot, but they are carving out, 1.3 acre lot, this is the larger farm property where. There's the farmhouse and, fallen down barn on Potter Village Road,
Yeah,
it's owned by the, family. And he's been carving off lots, like one by one, build houses.
Does this show the other lots, or is this just,
It's
Just
not.
kind of-
okay, there is, I got you. So
Yeah.
here's another lot,
Yeah,
one back there, one over here, okay.
What is this 21 foot? That's this line up here? Just
it's 21 feet off the stone wall. That's where the proposed new property line is.
right.
So the stone wall's not the property line anymore. It's just.
No,
But it belongs to this property has that 21.
well, it's actually a larger parcel of land. It curves around this lot and is part of the larger farm property. He's leaving himself a cartway to get to the back part of the farm property in anticipation that I don't design, I just look at it, but he thinks he has enough room to put a road in there, but it does
21 feet?
Yeah. So, but
What, isn't this an asphalt to be 24 on a subdivision road?
yeah,
Okay.
you have to have a 50-foot right of way, so, but. You know, it's a
Doesn't matter if
cartway
you don't
for
tell
the
the town,
farm
just
at
use
this
it.
point in time, so.
Yeah.
You know,
Pay that.
and he has more than enough frontage on this portion of the property, so.
Gotcha. All right, do we have a motion to approve the A and R?
I'll make a motion, we approve the A and R for 51 Potter Village Road.
Second, that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, yeah, it's one Mylar and the one A and R.
Here's what the property.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, tonight, we're right on the right. We haven't gone to the White House.
Yeah, what is it?
We're like too late there. It's really nice.
Okay.
Oh,
It's a 3-season.
Fancy. Yeah. Oh, isn't it?
it'll be nice for the summer.
Yeah. it's
Are we
nice,
gonna have
yeah.
meetings on it?
Yeah. If it ever makes it.
Good back.
It's still there.
Basically next door.
You guys signed the white copy too, Randy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure you all sign the paper copy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, back of each.
Our next up, A and R, we have Brookway Construction LLC on Berry Corner Road. Looking to create one lot.
This project, they is basically cutting a lot in half, did, but done an A and R lot previously. And the remaining land is this land with the farmhouse on it, now we just cutting a lot off the lot with the farmhouse on it.
By each foot. Right, so the golf course would be right
Oh,
here.
Get it upside down, sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna bring it to. Yeah. Like that.
Mhm.
First Development, pretty much.
All right, we have a motion to approve the A and R.
Proper acreage.
On. Yep, 133,000.
Very common.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the A and R for 86 Berry Corner Road.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Whatever, my pen now.
That thing's,
Oh,
yeah, use
so-
Jesus. That this thing is on.
Doesn't work?
Last.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
No, just walked away on me. That's all right.
There you go. Maybe I thought, no, I threw my own one away, okay.
Oh.
All right, next up, we have a continued public hearing for CP Barry Development LLC, Portaway, definitive subdivision plan 325 Worcester Road. They're looking to rescind that. Now, we'd already closed that public hearing, right?
Yeah, they have to continue because we closed the public hearing. Dawn had actually brought up the setback line was going through the sawmill, so they have to, and they can't just move the line because the setback line on the other property is right at the front of the batteries. So they had to amend the plan, so we're gonna rescind the application because the public hearing is closed, and then just submit a revised plan. Just that one, they basically have to start it over again, but
All right. Just a regular vote, Randy, on this to rescind?
Yeah.
All right,
it's just rescinding both the subdivision and the site plan.
all right, so we need to do two separate votes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, do I have a motion to rescind the ZP Barry Development Co. LLC Portaway definitive subdivision plan at 325 Worcester Road?
Make a motion to rescind. Send the ZP Battery Devco LLC Porterway. Division, definitive subdivision plan. 325 Worcester Road, Route 20.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye, all right. All right, do we have a motion to rescind the ZP Battery Development Co. Special permit application to construct an energy storage system at 325 Worcester Road, Route 20?
I make a motion to rescind the ZP Battery Devco special permit application to construct a energy storage system, ESS, AKA Porterway, 325 Worcester Road, Route 20. 37-A-4.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, do we have a motion to continue the public hearing for ZP Barry Development Company LLC, ZP Barry Development Company LLC, Larry's Way definitive subdivision plan, which is Sturbridge Road and Griffin Road. They're looking to continue it to January 18th.
Make a motion to continue the ZP Devco LLC, ZP Battery Devco LLC, Larry Ways, definite subdivision plan, Sturbridge Road, Griffin Road, and continue it to January 18th.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
I,
Aye. Do we have a motion to continue the public hearing for ZP Barry Development Company LC special permit application to construct 3 energy storage systems, AKA Larry's Way, Sturbridge Road and Griffin Road. They're looking to get it continued to January 18th.
Make a motion to continue the ZP Devco LLC special permit application to construct 3 energy storage systems, ESS, AK Larry Way, Southbridge Road, Sturbridge Road, Griffin Road, 27-C-2 and 3, and continue it to January 18th.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don, did you say aye?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, aye. All right.
Focused.
That's okay. Do we have a motion to
Reading.
continue the public hearing for ZP Barry Development Company Income Way definitive subdivision plan off of Southbridge Road, Route 169, looking to continue to January 18th.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing for the ZP Battery Devco Incom Way definite subdivision plan off Southbridge Road, Route 169, and continue that to January 18th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have a motion to continue the public hearing for ZP Barry Development Company LLC special permit application to construct 2 energy storage systems, AKA Income Way, 288 Southbridge Road and 294 Southbridge Road, Route 169, to looking to continue to January 18th.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing, ZP Battery Devco LLC special permit application to construct 2 energy storage systems, ESS, AK Incon Way, 288 Southbridge Road and 294 Southbridge Road, Route 169, 62-A, 6 and 7, continue to January 18th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, do we have anything else, Randy?
Actually, this one just came in today, the town has a government study review committee. And they're trying to meet with all board and commissions, everything, they requested to meet with the planning board. They meet every Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. They just wanted to have a one-time sit down to see like how things are going with the board, with towns, communication, and what other items they might have. Their next meeting is January 17th, so yeah, every third Tuesday, sorry. And they said they have town bail for the planning board at 7 p.m. And I said I'd have to check with the members, he said if that doesn't work, be the following month, so. He said if 1 or 2 planning board members would like to come and just, discuss with them any. How they feel like we're working with the town's working with us, and any issues or comments they like to bring up. It's about, I guess, 15-20 minutes.
we did that a couple of years ago about looking at changing the town government is. And I think they're just picking up on it and following it up.
I don't see a problem with that.
No, I've been on that committee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine, I guess. Anyone have a problem with the 17th? Just 2 of us need to, so you don't need to post, right?
It's the 17th, it would
On
be,
Tuesday.
they said they have a 7:10 town allotment for it, because they already have one at 6, one at 6:20, and I think it was 7 p.m. They said,
Where they
I'm
meet,
not sure,
where they want to meet.
do they meet?
They meet
In
in
a
the
selectmen's
selectmen's
meeting
room.
room, yeah,
All right, yeah,
so,
We'll find somebody.
yeah.
We'll find
Make it
somebody.
work. Yeah.
okay,
Make it work, 7 o'clock,
and I'll let them know.
yeah. All right, anything else?
That's what they say, not me.
That's,
Big step forward.
that's all for us.
All right,
Actually, just so you know, one more thing, the public hearing for Clear Bottom we might end up going downstairs or something based on the amount of public input we're getting with it. We don't know yet, so, but.
You want to expand on what the issue was a little bit? Because I don't know if everybody's aware.
Why don't we wait for the
Maybe,
public hearing,
okay.
I guess, for what it is.
As far as the board was.
Because we don't want to,
Everybody aware what the big hullub was about? Okay. Everybody
Alright.
doesn't check.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was plugged in.
I don't wanna-
Yeah, we'll take it offline.
Yeah. So, all right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn at
8:47.
8:47.
8:47.
A second.
All right, all those in favor?
I.
I.
Aye.
Have a good one, Alicia. Thank you.
Yeah, Lisa,
Good night.
Happy New Year, Alicia.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Throw them all in the phone.
Okay.